Greetings and salutations, viewers and listeners. Welcome to episode 115 of Word Ninjas Live. I am your host, Charles, and joining me tonight is our full crew. No, where's our crew?
I heard something about a space weasel attack today. I stayed indoors to avoid it, but I can't make any promises about the others.
That was holed up in my office all day, so that's probably why I missed it.
Space weasels! But yes, I am here, hidden away inside from the space weasels.
Yay. Well, seeing as there are two of us here, hey, let's do a show.
Might as well.
Might as well. Seeing as it is almost November, we're just a few days away, let's talk about writing challenges. Because there's a big one coming up on November 1st.
What? I've never... Really? I feel like I would have heard about this.
Yeah, I know that October is Inktober, and all the artists do at least a sketch a day, I believe. I know that's the big thing right now, so everybody's talking about that and going crazy about it. And it actually does look like a lot of fun. If my schedule wasn't ridiculous, I would have joined in. But no, November is actually National Novel Writing Month. So if you are not an artist, but a wordsmith, November is for you. For those of you who have not listened to our podcast in previous years, come October and or November and or December, National Novel Writing Month is kind of a thing around here, not to mention around the world. There is over 350,000 participants for National Novel Writing Month. Because as they pitch it, everyone has a story in them, but not everyone takes the time to sit down and write them. That's what November's for. The month-long challenge of writing a 50,000-word novel-length plot. Because getting the words down first means you can actually edit it later and actually finish a damn story. Which is really nice. And then you actually have a finished product somewhere down the line, possibly after doing National Novel Editing Month.
Theoretically.
This is going to be my 13th year participating in Nano. And I want to say it's like my 6th or 7th year as a municipal liaison, so a regional leader and coordinator of events from my county. Kind of weird to think I've been doing this for that long. But seeing as November is almost upon us, we thought we'd kind of go into a little bit of detail as to just what is NaNoWriMo, and in general, what are writing and art challenges all about, and why should you try and participate in them? Because just like how National Novel Writing Month is to get your story written, Inktober is all about getting your art down onto paper, and just so you get into the habit of doing it. November's kind of like that, but it's more about finding the time and pushing yourself to actually write daily, or at least regularly, which is a good thing if you want to be a writer, or if you have a story in you that you want to get out. And seeing as National Novel Writing Month is international, and there's members pretty much everywhere, you'll be able to find some form of community through their website and local members and libraries and cafes that are participating, and you'll actually get a bit of camaraderie and encouragement in person or online to actually write your novel. I know I'm going to need that this year. This is not going to be a pretty year for writing.
I'm cheaping out again this year, but I have my reasons.
Yeah, I'm doing a Nano Rebel year yet again, because after 12 years, I don't really have much to prove anymore. I know I can write 50,000 in a month. I've done it a couple times round. I did 100,000 word
Oof.
year where I did 2 nanos in 1 month. I don't have much to prove anymore. I know I can do it. At this point, it's just there's the visual novel that I want to work on, and this is a good opportunity to actually sit down and focus on it. So I can get a good portion of the rough draft put together so we can start working on it and cleaning it up. So that's my plan for November.
My plan is to write the last and final chapter of My Roommate's a Stripper in November.
Just the one chapter.
Just the one chapter. I don't think it's going to be 50,000 words.
Depends on how many dream sequences there are.
Dream sequences, flashbacks, false endings, comas. I could possibly stretch it out, but I think my fans might get angry at me for a 50,000 word chapter.
Or at least a little upset.
It's like half the novel again, just in one chapter.
Well, you have to wrap up all the loose ends.
I don't think there are that many loose ends that I didn't account for already that won't be wrapped up in the end of the chapter as I plan for it now. Maybe. Life is full of loose ends.
True. But for those of you who have never participated in a writing or art or just creative challenge, there are plenty of benefits to doing so. Because for some, the concept of a deadline pushes them to keep on working and actually hit that deadline. For some, the community helps because you get either the peer pressure or the group encouragement to keep on going if things get tough, or if you're ahead, you have people that you can celebrate with. If you get stuck on something, if you don't know what your characters should do or how the scenes should work, or if you're sketching something, how do I do hands? The answer is you don't.
Everyone has flippers.
Yes, or mittens. It's winter. Everybody wears mittens. But because you have the community available, you can actually talk to peers and other people who have gone through what you've gone or are going through what you are going, and you can help each other figure stuff out. And you can just talk shop. You can talk about stories that you've written in the past, other ideas you have, books you enjoy, other artists that you appreciate. It's nice being able to talk to other people that understand what you are talking about. And these writing challenges tend to bring all those people out of the woodworks. There's several friends that I have that I only see during November. That's the only time they really seem to pop up online or in person for some of the regional events. And then I don't see them for the rest of the year.
Writing buddies.
Yeah. I have more than I can count now, thanks to Nano. There have been some years where I talk to people in Australia in the morning, and then I work my way around the globe on Skype or IRC chat as people go to sleep and other people wake up. And I know for Nano, they cover every single genre and style imaginable at this point. I think they have every single fictional genre covered. They have nonfiction. I think some people still do scripts because Script Frenzy has been retired. I know some people do graphic novel formats. Some people do, like me, visual novel formats or just adapted script format. It's fun.
It is fun.
And I
The
know
first
for
week.
Yeah, I think it was Richie who was commenting on Monday. He would edited all those old episodes, and he would see the progress throughout each week. Like, things are going great. Everything is on fire. Hey, we survived.
Yeah, pretty much. Week 1, everything's great. The rest of November, everything's on fire. The 1st of December, it's over.
You want to do this again next year?
Maybe a bit masochistic.
Yeah, that might explain a few things about us. And I know that our other host or co-host, Justin, who was unable to join us today, is planning on live streaming on day 1 of Nano. So Sunday, all 25 hours of the day, because time change. It's like a leap day. You get an extra hour. But he's planning on actually live streaming his entire 25-hour write-a-thon of nanoing. And people are going to be allowed to join in and suggest what his characters do or what happens in this scene and stuff like that. Because as he pitched it, it was like the Expendables and Need for Speed and James Bond mixed with the ridiculousness of like Evil Dead. He's going to toss in as many tropes, cliches, and just ridiculous writing and characters in there as possible.
Mm-hmm. Believe his words were that he's pantsing it.
Yep. He actually put together little note cards with numbered options of what to do next in this scene. And either he's going to roll a die or let people in the chat determine for him what the characters are going to do. And it sounded pretty interesting. And if I get a chance, I'll probably tune in to at least see how it's going.
Very cool.
And that'll be on this channel. So starting at midnight Eastern time, he's going to start live streaming. And I know he's guaranteed for at least 6 hours of live streaming because he's doing fundraising as well while doing it. I think he said it at every $5, he's guaranteed to live stream half an hour. And one of his friends gave him $50. And then I threw $10 at him. So we'll get at least 6 hours out of him.
If he does the whole thing, it would be interesting to check in right at the beginning to see how energetic he is, and then check in the 24th hour, see if he's still
And it's not going to be a pure 25-hour stream since Hangouts on Air only allows 8 hours at a time. So there will be a couple gaps, and I'm sure eventually he'll need to get up and eat and bio breaks and stuff like that. Maybe get more coffee.
It's going to need a lot of coffee.
Yeah. But we'll see how that goes. I'm rooting for him.
I couldn't do it.
No, I'm not going to do it. I doubt I'll even be awake at midnight to start right at midnight. I probably won't even be able to start until I get to the writing event I'm hosting at 1 o'clock on that day.
I might start at midnight. I'll be awake at midnight, I'm sure. We'll see how it goes.
Depends on what shenanigans I get up to for Halloween.
Yeah.
And by shenanigans, it's probably just going to be like, I'm going to have pumpkin pie and maybe a bit of candy and watch a movie.
Sounds nice. I want pumpkin pie candy in a movie.
Well, I know places where you can get pumpkin pie and candy.
all of the candy corn.
Bleh.
I like candy corn. I'm weird.
I like a handful of candy corn and then I'm good for the year. It's like the Cadbury cream eggs. I have one, I'm good for the year. I don't need more.
One and done.
Yep. Now, if it was dark chocolate Reese's peanut butter cups, then it gets a little dangerous.
Endless supply is required for peanut butter cups.
How many years have you done Nano now?
Officially, I did 2 years, and I only succeeded in one of them. My first year, I attempted it. I attempted to write a magical girl parody story, but I wrote myself into a corner because I did no pre-planning and realized that the stuff I was writing was just the same thing over and over again, and I hated it, so I lost complete interest, which was sad because I actually did have an overall plot and a conclusion that I like. So maybe one year I'll go back to it and rewrite it from the beginning again after proper planning. Actually flesh the plot out. And then 2 years ago, I did the Clash of the Storms attempt, and I succeeded in the 50,000 words, but I didn't actually finish the story. And then after Nano, I didn't want to write any more of it for a year. So last year, I unofficially participated by just finishing Clash of the Storms. Well, I wrote a lot of words. It wasn't 50,000 words. And I would participate in it again this year, except it's coinciding with what would be the last chapter of Roommate, and I want to put all my focus on that.
Fair enough.
So perhaps next year I will try something. Maybe that magical girl story again.
You know, looking through my NaNo history, I don't even remember what some of these novels were. I started in 2003 with my zombie apocalypse verse, Slash and Burn. That was an abysmal failure. I don't think I even hit 10,000 words that year.
Oof.
Attempt number 2 was Inaria, which was the worst type of ridiculousness and silliness, and we do not speak of it. I didn't make 50,000 that year either. 2005, I tried Slash and Burn again and actually made it. Just. Senior year of college, I did Between the Lines, and I have no idea what that is or what that was about.
Oh my.
What was that?
But did you succeed?
I succeeded. Oh, that was for one of my English classes. I was allowed to do a project of your own choice, and I did a novel. It was not good by any means. I think my teacher didn't expect... I think the teacher expected an actual edited novel within a semester. They should know better. 2007, I didn't even title the damn thing. And I did not win. I remember that much. 2008, Photographing Faith. That was a stupid book novel thing.
Stupid book novel thing.
It was set in a coffee shop and then demons arrived because why not?
Well, demons need their coffee too.
Yeah, I don't think it ended well. 2009, Slash and Burn again. I think that one was the one that involved time travel. And then they ended up on a boat. 2010 was the crazy year where I did my space opera, Vanaheimar, and my ridiculous toss all of my characters into a space bar and see what happens. That was 100,000 word year. 2011, slash and burn again, going back to my original concept of it to see if I could do it. Still hit 50,000, but I didn't like it. 2012, Wish Hotel was a weird, stupid horror novel where they were all stuck in a hotel, and each couple of chapters was a different person in the hotel and how they died. It was kind of a monkey's paw scenario. 2013 was Ash and Sky, which is what our visual novel is based off of, with my burlesque tea shop and assassin bakers. And last year was Tales of Tribulations. I do not remember what the hell that was about. That gives me nothing. I have no idea what that is.
Come to think of it, I don't remember you giving any specific details on it, just word number updates.
Oh, I hit 50,248 words on it, so I won, but all I have is the title in there. That gives me nothing.
You must have it on a hard drive somewhere, right?
Oh yeah, I have a majority of these on an external hard drive. There's, I think, 2 that did not survive transfers from computers and hard drives and stuff.
The one from last year is the one you can't remember. It's the most recent one.
Tales of Tribulations. And it's Tails. So I presume that was supposed to mean something. But I don't know what. I'm going to have to look that up now off air, because that's going to bother me.
Check in next week to find out what Tales of Tribulations was about.
Probably something stupid, knowing.
I'm sure it'll be a Pulitzer Prize winner.
Yeah, not so much. I would be amazed.
I wouldn't mind giving more serious work to Nano, but it will definitely have to be next year and on, because I really do want to finish Remate this year and have it done so that I can start all the major editing I want to do for it for next year, which is already a lot. Like even whole scenes that might get rewritten and removed, and new scenes that might get edited, and whole characters that might just go away forever or be completely rewritten or replaced. Because that's what editing is all about. I'm going to need to invest in a lot of red pens. It'll take me longer than a month to edit that 400-plus page monster. And that's a thing, too. National Novel Editing Month. It's December, right?
Sometimes it's December, sometimes it's like March. Or
I guess you can walk away from this, walk away from the story for a few months and come back to it with fresh eyes.
Yeah. And they probably feel like having November, because for the US there's Thanksgiving, and then December you have Christmas, Hanukkah, New Year's. It gets a little complicated.
If you're looking for your Nano story to be published, though, National Novel Editing Month sounds like it would be handy.
So oddly enough, my 2014 Nano is not on my Google Drive.
Oh my.
A majority of my others are, but not that one.
You hid that one away in the darkest corners of a flash drive somewhere.
It might be for the best. There's like my 20 different versions of slash and burn. I am glad that I saved them all, though.
Yes.
Because it wasn't a matter of I kept on starting the same story from scratch over and over again. I kept on thinking, well, what if I put them in this time period? Or what if I move them to this continent?
Mm.
And there's some serious versions, some silly versions. I just couldn't really pin down what I wanted to do with that concept or those characters. That's why there's probably a dozen different versions at this point.
Well, it's probably good to experiment.
Yeah, it has been very helpful for me. It allowed me to try all sorts of different styles and techniques, and it helped me grow as a writer.
Mm. And that's what Nano is really all about. Trying out new things in a really short period of time. A lot of people get published from Nano, right?
Yeah, there's now hundreds of nano written stories that have been edited and then published, and some are bestsellers. A few of them have been turned into movies. I know Water for Elephants is the main example for one that was published and put into movie format.
If you're looking for that drive to actually get the story out of your head and onto the bookshelves, sometimes Nano and the pressure of writing it all in 30 days is all it takes. Assuming, a massive hurricane doesn't knock out power for the first week.
That's never happened.
Was that last year or the year before?
I think the year before.
It had to be the year before because I actually remember working on... It happened 2 years in a row then.
Yeah.
Because I remember working on the Magical Girl parody story by pen and paper by candlelight.
Yeah, I know one of those 2 years I was using my typewriter and a flashlight.
That was not fun times.
Let's not make that a tradition, if possible.
I think right now, as long as you're outside of Mexico, you're fine. And if you're in Mexico right now, you're in trouble.
That should be safe then. I think we're far enough away from Mexico at the moment.
There's a massive hurricane that's it's either going to or already is cut straight through Mexico.
Yeesh.
Yeah.
All we have here is rain.
Yeah.
And a manageable amount of it.
Yes. Knock on wood. And plenty of coffee because you'll need it for Nano. Or whatever fuels you. Energy drink, chocolate.
I don't even know how I did it a couple years when I was working full-time in New York, taking night classes in Connecticut, and MLing for Nano.
Same thing, you handle everything else. You don't sleep.
Oh, right. But I like sleep.
Sleep is nice.
And I'm getting old. I can't pull all-nighters anymore.
Haven't pulled an all-nighter since college.
I have, thanks to night classes, but since then I haven't.
I mean, you were sort of half in college at the time because you're taking classes, so
yeah,
it still counts.
I think that was the last time I did it, though. I don't think I've done that since.
I've been up all night coding. I was up once all night drawing art because inspiration always happens at 3 o'clock in the morning. Which is another good reason to do Nano, I guess. If that inspiration strikes at 3 o'clock in the morning, it just helps your word count.
I mean, one of the biggest things about Nano is you can't really edit a story if you haven't written it yet.
Mm-hmm.
Nano is a good chance to actually write that story, or at least work on it.
I think that's like the really good thing about Nano, and helped, at least helped for me, is separating the writing from the editing. I know I have a problem of, I used to have the problem of massive editing while writing. Like I'd write a paragraph and then hate it and try to edit it. But Nano doesn't give you the time to do that. You just have to write it and worry about editing it later. So if you have that trouble of constantly editing while you're writing, trying Nano and trying to get your word count can help you break that habit and separate the writing from the editing, so that you can do your editing later and not while you're writing, and actually get it all written down instead of rage quitting halfway through.
This is really bothering me now. I can't find the 2014 novel. It may have been on that little USB flash drive that I had that then literally cracked in half.
Oh no.
That might have been it.
Don't you have to upload the story to Nano to get a word count confirmation?
Yeah, but you can also just toss in gobbledygook, because it doesn't actually read the words or anything. It just counts word length
And just meant
characters.
if you uploaded it to Nano to get your word count, is there any way to retrieve it, or do they just do it?
No, it doesn't retain any of it. It just counts it and then purges.
Mm. A mystery story for all times. That could have been your Pulitzer Prize winner.
Not anymore. I did find my 2007 Nano that didn't have a title, and now I think I know why it didn't have a title. None of this looks like it makes any sense whatsoever. Good Lord.
It's all about getting those numbers.
Pretty much.
Apostrophes are your enemy during Nano.
No contractions. Of the literary or biological type.
Yeah, I suppose going into contractions and going into labor in the middle of November would make it difficult to meet up with your word count. I think the doctors might frown on you trying to write on your laptop while giving birth.
That's what the pen and paper is for.
Of course.
Or maybe just a little voice recorder. And then you can transcribe it later.
Push, push, push. Give me a second. I need to finish this sentence. I'm 500 words behind. The baby can wait.
Just push it back in. It'll be fine.
Little twerp wasn't due to the 2nd of November.
I technically wasn't due until December, and I still popped out in November. I was impatient.
Excuse me.
So for those of you out there who have not participated in Nano yet and have been debating, I would definitely suggest you at least give it a try. I know it's not for everyone, and We have plenty of participants who try it one year and don't necessarily the next year. Some come back after a while, some don't. For some people, this really isn't for them, but you never know until you try.
And if it's not for you, you can always try Camp Nano, which is a little more lenient, isn't it? You get to set your own goals.
Yep, Camp Nano is the Nano mindset of find time to write within a month. I want to say it's April and July. And I know they're not consecutive months.
Mm.
And those you can set your own word count goal. It doesn't have to be 50,000 words. It could be 5,000 words. Or it can be 500,000 words. Although that might be a little tricky. But I know for some who are in school, doing it over the summer is sometimes easier because you have slightly fewer distractions. And the info for that, again, I think we mentioned it earlier, is just NaNoWriMo.org for National Novel Writing Month. National Novel Editing Month is just NaNoEdmo.com. And the links to this stuff is in the show notes for episode 115 over on fcwriters.com. If you are not able to check it out at the moment. Let's roll into the highlights reel for this week, because we have a few things to highlight and discuss.
Okay. Boogie Board.
Well, you don't want a boogie board.
I used to sell boogie boards.
Oh. You don't want one of your very own.
I have one somewhere.
For those not on the video stream, the boogie board we're talking about is a digital tracing tool that can be used with tablets primarily. And it can be used for like tracing words, so you can learn handwriting skills and spelling and grammar. You can do it with art. And I know in the comments on one of the articles I was checking out on this, it even mentioned like the health benefits for those who have physical disabilities in regards to their dexterity. It could be useful in that and also physical therapy, which is pretty cool. I did not originally think of that when I saw this, but I'm pretty sure that would be helpful because it looks like it's very straightforward, very easy to use. I just thought it was interesting. Thought I'd toss it on the list.
And at least that one comes with a replaceable battery.
The other ones don't, generally.
The original one has a non-replaceable 3-volt watch battery, so when it dies, oh well.
That's inconvenient.
It was one of the big complaints we got when trying to sell them. Some of them had I think there were some that had a battery, but it was a weird battery, smaller than a AAA. Might have been a AAA, but some of them from the original set have a not replaceable battery. So when it's done, it's done.
I know there is such a thing as a quadruple A battery that is smaller than a AAA, but I think I've only seen those once in use, and it was for something weird and stupid. I don't even remember what.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I don't even know where you'd get those now.
Maybe Radio Shack?
Radio Shack is dead.
Oh, yeah. They're gone for good?
You'll have a hard time finding a Radio Shack to...
They don't still have the one in New London? Oh, that's kind of far for you.
Everything is far from me. I live in the middle of nowhere.
True. I know they've been closing down a lot and frankly not as a reliable source of real electronic stuff over the past decade.
Hmm. Yeah, it's unfortunate, the downfall of Radio Shack.
Mm. Once went in there to ask if they had power supplies for a computer. Woman looked at me like I had 6 heads.
I know I've gone there to get breadboards and transistors and stuff for just playing around. Can't get those anywhere in a store anymore.
Mm-mm.
That's all online.
Yeah, Radio Shack's all about pre-made computers, cell phones, and remote-controlled gizmos these days.
Yep.
So sad.
Well, as we talk about all the fancy gizmos that we can't get anymore, let's go back in time and check out a YouTube video of actual, like, historical martial arts, primarily in regards to fencing. This video, we're not going to play it on the air, but it's linked in the show notes for you to check out. Details some of the more realistic aspects of sword fighting. It's not as Hollywood shows it. It's a little messier and not nearly as graceful.
You mean Hollywood isn't completely historically accurate with every single thing they do in every movie ever?
Amazingly, they've managed to botch it a few times. Not often, but on occasion.
That's hard to believe.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that they missed certain aspects of it completely. I don't know how that happened.
Must have been an oversight. Budgeting, I'm sure.
Yeah, that must be it. But for those of you out there who are writing fantasy stories or are just curious as to the realistic logistics of some of these things, it is worth checking out. And I forget if it's in this video specifically or another one that I found while going down that rabbit hole, but if you're using a hand and a half sword or like a claymore or something like that, I don't even know how people would swing those without just flopping over. Those things are gigantic.
Incredible upper body strength.
I do not have that. And I am okay with this. I am not going to be holding a hand and a half sword anytime soon. And our other highlights are all ebooks, because there is a slew of ebooks, a plethora of them, released this week. Story Bundle has tossed out 2 this week, along with the other 2 that are still running. One of them, conveniently, is the return of the NaNoWriMo Writing Tools Bundle. They did this one last year, but I believe there are some new books in this one. So even if you grab last year's, there's still some new stuff in this one. Now, they've changed this one up a little bit in that there are multiple paid tiers now. You have the main tier, which is $1 and up. You get the top 6 books. If you jump up to $15, which I know is a bit of a hike, you'd get the second tier here of 7 more books. If you were to go all out and go up to $25 and up, you would get an extra 12 books. And I know some of these were in bundles previously, so you might have a bit of an overlap, which would make it hard to justify the $25 price tag for all of these. But if you there's still some new ones.
Excuse me. Something in my throat. It looks like that second tier is all of the books from last year.
I don't remember the 500 Ways to Write Harder offhand.
Well, I'm just saying that that's exactly how they list it, the entire NaNoWriMo 2014 writing tools bundle.
Oh, it would help if I actually looked at the full title of the second tier bonus. So if you missed last year's bundle for an extra $10 on top of the $15 tier, you could get all of last year's bundle. I could have sworn there were more books by Kevin J. Anderson in that bundle. It might have just been a different literary bundle because I have about a half dozen of his books now from a bundle. That's probably what threw me off while looking at this.
We do advertise their writing bundles quite often, though.
Yeah, they do have a fair amount throughout the year. And for our audio listeners not able to look at the screen of what we're seeing, if you were to get the main tier of just $1 and up price, you would get Writing the Blockbuster Novel by Albert Zuckerman, 52 Ways to Get Unstuck by Chris Mandeville, Discoverability by Christine Catherine Ruche, Writing to the Point by Algis Budrys, Brewing Fine Fiction by Maya Catherine Bonoff and Patti Nagel, and Write Characters Your Readers Won't Forget by Stant Latore. Except for 52 Ways to Get Unstuck, I have not seen or heard of any of these books. So I'm very tempted to get at least that tier for myself. Because at $1 or up, I can actually still afford that at the moment. And I'm kind of intrigued by Brewing Fine Fiction. If you were to jump up to the $15 price point and get the secondary tier here, you would get the Synopsis Treasury, edited by Christopher Sermons Haviland, How to Write Fiction Sales Copy by Dean Wesley Smith, $1 Million Book Signings by David Farland, Writing Horses, The Art of Getting It Right by Judith Tarr, World Building from Small Towns to Entire Universes by Kevin J. Anderson. I do not have that one from him yet. Writing Fight Scenes by Marie Brennan, and Jumpstart Your Novel by Mark Teppo. I kind of want the world building one. That one would come in handy. Not to mention the Writing Fight Scenes one.
I could have used the writing fight scenes one a couple years ago when I was working on Clash of the Storms.
It'll probably come in handy when I'm working on Ashen Sky. I don't know how many horses are going to be in Ashen Sky, but never hurts to have a reference book on how to write about horses.
Indeed.
Because I have friends now who know all about horses and way too much about horses. And if you get something wrong, they will happily correct you. Now, if you were to jump up to the $25 and up price point, you would get all of those books plus all of last year's NaNoWriMo bundle. For those of you that missed last year's bundle, that one contains Drawing on the Power of Resonance in Writing by David Farland, $1 Million Productivity by Kevin J. Anderson, Killing the Top 10 Sacred Cows of Publishing by Dean Wesley Smith, The Pursuit of Perfection and How It Harms Writers by Christine Catherine Ruche, $1 Million Professionalism, again by Kevin J. Anderson and Rebecca Moesta, Shadows Beneath by Brandon Sanderson, Marie Robinette Kowai, Dan Wells, and Howard Taylor. $1 Million Outlines by David Farland, 21 Days to a Novel by Michael A. Stackpole, Charisma Plus One, The Guide to Convention Etiquette for Writers, Geeks, and the Socially Awkward by Jessica Bronner. That one's a lot of fun to read. I highly recommend that one if you pick it up. Not even from this bundle. If you just get that one separately, it is a fun read. You'd also get The Freelancer's Survival Guide by Christine Catherine Roosh, 500 Ways to Write Harder by Chuck Wendig, and The Non-User Friendly Guide for Aspiring TV Writers by Stephen L. Sears. For $25, that is a pretty full bundle of literary reference books. And this one just kicked off this week, and as it's a NaNoWriMo writing bundle, this one lasts a while. As of this recording, you have 64 days and change to check it out. So you have all of November and most of actually all of November and December, I believe. I want to say this lasts till the end of the year, give or take a couple days maybe. So well worth checking out. No, I already had it
Right to the end of the year.
Nice. If that wasn't enough, Story Bundle has a fourth book bundle out at the moment. This one just released as well on Dark Justice, which is all crime fiction. Now, as with regular story bundles, the first tier is $1 and up. The second tier, to unlock, you need to toss in $15 or more. So for $1, you'd get 5. For a minimum of $15, you'd get 10 books. Ebooks. All of these are digital. So if you're a fan of crime books, detective books, all that good stuff, you could check out Cold Call by Dean Wesley Smith, And Then She Was Gone by J. Daniel Sawyer, An Eye for Murder by Libby Fisher Hellman, Code Blues by Melissa Yee, A Fatal Twist of Lemon by Patrice Greenwood, A Dangerous Road by Chris Nelscott, Playing with Matches by Julie Hizzy, The World Beneath by Rebecca Contrell, Fatal Destiny by David DeLee, and The Night and the Music by Lawrence Block. I still have a good half dozen crime novels in my bookshelf of books to read. I don't know if I can justify this one for me. But this one just kicked off, so there's still 22 days to check this one out and consider it.
Fortunately for me, crime novels aren't my thing.
I know a couple friends who would probably appreciate this bundle. And because that's not enough ebooks for people, we have one more from Humble Bundle. Even they're doubling up now. Last week we talked about the Top Cow bundle. Today they just kicked off the Army of Darkness graphic novel bundle, which I really, really want because I've read a couple of these, but not all of these. I didn't realize there were this many in the Army of Darkness series now. But this one is over on Humble Bundle, and it's a whole slew of Army of Darkness graphic novels. Similar dealie of the first tier, $1 and up price point. They have an ever-changing average price, depending on the overall payment of people. Currently at $10.14, you would get the second tier of novels, and they add more as they go. If you went all out with $15 and up, you would unlock the third tier. So for those of you not familiar with the Army of Darkness graphic novels, it is the all sorts of various shenanigans from the Evil Dead universe. If you do The $1 and up tier, you would get the stories of Ashes to Ashes, The Army of Darkness versus Reanimator, Old School, Ash versus the Classic Monsters. I have not read that one, but I really, really want to. And then Ash and the Army of Darkness, which may or may not be an adaptation of the movie or a continuation of that storyline. If you went to the second tier of paying the average price, you would also get Army of Darkness versus Hack and Slash, Ash Saves Obama, which I've only seen a few pages of, but it looks hilarious and well worth the read. From the Ashes, The Long Road Home, Home Sweet Hell, Hellbillies and Deadnecks, and Ash Gets Hitched, along with more as they add them. If you went $15, like if you went all out, you would get all of those, along with League of Light Assemble, the actual movie adaptation of the Army of Darkness movie, Army of Darkness Volume 1, Hail to the Queen, baby, Volume 2, The King is Dead, Long Live the Queen, and Army of Darkness Ash in Space. I can only imagine how he ends up in space. And this one just kicked off, so you have 13 days and change as of this podcast. I have a feeling I'm going to end up with this one. I want it.
Look like a nice collection if you're into the Army of Darkness stuff.
I am.
I think I've seen one, maybe two of the movies a long time ago.
Most people have seen The Army of Darkness, which is the third movie in the series. Then there's just Evil Dead 1 and Evil Dead 2. And Evil Dead 2 is kind of a redo of Evil Dead 1 to varying degrees.
I saw one that took place in a medieval castle.
That's The Army of Darkness, which is basically Evil Dead with a budget.
That one was funny.
They actually got money for that one.
And I think I might have seen the Evil Dead 2, because I remember seeing one that took place in like modern times, but it was definitely goofy and not horribly frightening.
None of them were really horribly frightening. They always tended to keep a good level of humor in it, as with all Bruce Campbell movies. And it wouldn't surprise me if they're doing this bundle because of the movie that's coming out. I want to say it's Ash versus the Evil Dead is the movie title or something like that, which is a continuation of that storyline with Bruce Campbell.
Nice.
That is one of the few movies I will happily go see in theaters.
Movie night.
I'm one of those horrible people. I don't care about Star Wars coming out this year. Like, if I see it, I see it. If not, it's not the end of the world. But Ash versus the Evil Dead, I want to see.
I think everybody has that weird, obscure movie that it's like, nope, that's the one. I have to see it. I don't care.
That was Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy back in college. No one else wanted to go with me, so I just went on my own.
Aw.
And I went to the little theater in the one town up.
I don't remember.
Bloomsfield.
Bloomfield?
Bloomfield. Yeah. The dinky little theater there that none of the college kids ever went to, even though it was right there and they gave you a good discount and you never had to fight for a seat. And it was considerably less sketchy than the other one that everyone went to anyway.
I only went to see one movie in theaters at college, and that was Aqua Teen Hunger Force : movie film for theaters.
I think we all went to see that one.
I think so, yeah. Worth it.
Yeah, that one was pretty entertaining. All right, with that, it's time to roll into the productivity and inspiration station, where we get to discuss any personal highlights or inspirations we've had since last episode. I have done stuff. What have I done? Show notes. I finished recording the visual novel Everlasting Summer. There's 3 more episodes of that visual novel queued to go out. Because in the second to last episode, I got the bad ending, which was not an ending. That one made me upset. It is on recording. You will find out in a couple of weeks. The final episode is, nope, we're retconning this. We're doing another ending. Because after like 15 episodes of going through this story and trying to figure out what is going on, I demand resolution.
I'm unmuted so people can hear me laughing at you.
And the only other thing that I can really toss out there in regards to productivity is I had a performance review at my day job, which put a lot of things into unnecessary perspective, which is going to make things very crazy for the rest of the year. Well, crazier, as if running Nano, trying to kick off our own company and doubling or tripling my workload at work, or as if all the other stuff wasn't enough, I'm probably going to be doubling or tripling my workload at work. So I'm really going to have to master the art of time management and prioritizing stuff. But the fact that I'm getting ahead on Game Break this far, and I also did 2 episodes worth of World End Economica, which was a lot of fun because we got to bring back one of the characters from the very beginning of the visual novel. And he is very wacky, and I had fun with it. And thankfully, I did not have to censor any of the visuals because they were actually decent about that. You will find out in a couple of weeks as to what that is referring to. When people own internet cafes and the door is closed, you should not open them without first knocking. There are reasons. But I've been having fun with all that. But yeah, the next few weeks, I'm really going to have to start figuring out time management and prioritizing everything, which is good, but future podcast episodes may involve a lot of colorful language from me, depending on how well that goes.
Oh my.
What have you been up to since last week?
Well, let's see. I finished chapter 31 of My Roommate's a Stripper.
Yay!
It's all typed up. I've already looked through it one round for editing. I want to do 1 or 2 more rounds of editing for it just to make sure. And then it'll be up on my Patreon for subscribers within a day or so, tonight or tomorrow. So that's exciting. And then there's only 1 chapter left to write.
All good things must come to an end.
Yes, despite the fact that my friend is begging me to never stop writing the series ever. He insists that it must go on for all time.
Well, if you write a 50,000 word chapter.
He'd probably love that. I would murder somebody. I also got caught back up with Word Ninjas Live, this podcast audio editing for the audio subscribers. I fell a little bit behind, so I banged out a couple episodes. So now all episodes up to 113 are done for the audio.
Yay.
So that's pretty cool. I'll have 114 out soon. And I lost my buffer for Game Break, unfortunately. I don't have any new episodes to come out yet. I need to make one this weekend. Oops. But I took advantage of all the mysteriously appearing space on my hard drive, some like 500 gigs of space. Just here you go on my hard drive. Don't know where that came. I think I know where that came from, but it's speculation. But I'm taking advantage of it and recording all of the BioShock. I now have hours of footage from the game just recorded, so I can easily just go in, record commentary for it, and make a couple episodes like in a day or two.
Nice.
No big deal. And that's getting close to the ending too. I'm in definitely probably the second to last zone or location in that game. And there's been some pretty interesting plot reveals that the more I think about it, the more I'm just like, wow. So that's awesome. And I look forward to having the episodes with that come out shortly.
Sweet.
In the next couple weeks.
I don't even know how many episodes behind I am on watching that playthrough. I need to catch up on that.
And it's all underwater.
And unfortunately, we don't have any of the other co-hosts available. I'm not sure what updates they might have. We'll find out next week. And of course, to our viewers and listeners out there, either currently or in the future, feel free to post in the comments. For one, are you participating in Nano? What have your experiences been if you've done it in the past? What are you hoping to accomplish? Are there any highlights, real stuff that you would like us to check out in the future? Or do you have commentary on the stuff that we've covered? And what have you been up to since last week? By all means, continue the conversations that we've been having throughout the past little bit over an hour now. We like to chat with you all, even if it's in the future. With that, the only other thing we have left to comment on is something we've already commented on for like in a whole hour, is that NaNoWriMo starts Sunday. We are not even a week away. We are less than a week away. We are almost out of time. But come midnight on November 1st, or the end of October 31st, however you want to spin that, NaNoWriMo begins officially in your respective time zones. I know plenty of participants who start right at midnight to try and power through the 1,667 words per day average that they need to hit. I personally am not going to be starting at midnight. I can't do that anymore. I just don't have it in me. And I have enough outline that I probably could power through it in about an hour. Because at top speed, I can do about 2,500 words in an hour during Nano. I can't sustain that. I can only imagine how much Justin is going to accomplish with his 25-hour write-a-thon. But again, it is NaNoWriMo.org. It is free to sign up. There are communities all over the world. If you live on Earth, chances are there is a community near you with participants, and for some regions, more than others, there's libraries that participate. There can be cafes and coffee shops and whatnot that participate. I know my region just threw me a curveball with a third library joining in the fun and tossing me 17 events for the next 40 days or so. Just got those notifications yesterday. So I am now full up on events. There are more than I can go to. Literally, there are some that overlap with other events, and I can't be in two places at once. But I'm excited for that. I'm glad that it's really growing, and I'm sure we're going to all have fun as much as we are going to have our colorful commentary in about 2 weeks.
I bet having a co-ML officially signed up would really help with those overlapping events, huh?
Yeah, having an official co-ML, I'm sure, would be useful. there are plenty of regions that have multiple municipal liaisons, and they can be at 2 different places at once, or they can trade off events, and I'll do this one, you do that one, that type of stuff. And I have enough regular members and veterans that I'm not too worried about missing certain events or not being able to cover everything. We're going to have enough coverage, at least for our region.
That's good. Hooray!
Yay.
I'm not technically in your region.
I think your region has an ML now, too.
Oh my.
It's the shoreline that is officially ML-less.
Ooh.
At least for this year. I know they have a couple people that want to be ML or kind of unofficially coordinating stuff. So we'll see how that goes. I'm sure we'll have all sorts of stuff to discuss next episode once we're properly in Nano. 1, 2, we'll be 4 days in, give or take. But until then, this is all we've got for you. This is all we have to say. We've run out of things to talk about. Time to wrap up our show. As always, if we have entertained you in any way, shape, or form over the last hour and change, feel free to check out any of the other episodes that we have. We have the full backlog of Word Ninjas Live on our YouTube channel, with the exception of one episode that the internet ate. I'm still upset by that. I'm a completionist. I like having all of them. But we also have our Game Break series that we've been talking about a bit, where we play video games and discuss character arcs and story arcs and game mechanics and fun stuff like that. We have event recordings when we go to conventions. We have author interviews. We actually have an author interview queued or scheduled to be recorded on Friday of this week. I'm still coordinating as to whether or not that is going to be live or not. If it is live, keep an eye out on Friday afternoon. If not, it'll go up within a week. I'm looking forward to that one. And we always toss a few other random things up there as we do. And if you keep an eye on our YouTube channel on Sunday, you'll be able to watch our co-host Justin attempt 25 hours of writing. And you'll be able to help him figure out his story, because he's just making it up as he goes along. He has no outline. If you want to talk to us via other social media outlets, we are over on Twitter at FCWordNinja. We're over on Tumblr, fcwordninja.tumblr.com. And we are on Facebook, facebook.com/fullcoveragewriters. And if you are in need of all sorts of shiny baubles, or if you want to get ahead on your holiday shopping for other creative people and writers and artists and whatnot, you can check out our Etsy store, etsy.com/shop/fullcoveragewriters, where we have buttons, we have bookmarks, we have magnets, we have little plushy ninja writer block cube things. We have ebooks. We have a booklet on warping the fabric of reality itself so that you can find time to write and be productive. And we also have our latest book on there, which is bundled with an audiobook version of that book. So you get 2 for the price of 1. All over on our Etsy store. By all means, go check it out. If you want to track me down, have fun with that. Considering I need to be in like 20 different places at once, pretty much every single day until the end of the year. But your best bet is my personal Tumblr page, which is fancypantswolf.tumblr.com. And if you are participating in Nano, you can track me down on there. My Nano ID is YGJunkie85, because that's who I was in 2003, and I am too lazy at this point to change. where can our fine listeners track down Will?
You can find me on my Tumblr page at darkhom.tumblr.com. That is spelled DARKHOM. You can find what few updates to My Roommate's a Stripper I still try to keep up with on its Tumblr page at myroommatesastripper.tumblr.com. And you can support me on my Patreon page at patreon.com/darkhom.
And if you want to track down any of our other co-hosts or use a different form of social media for any of us, all of that info is over on fcwriters.com under the About Us page. We have the full listings of all our various accounts and where to track us down. With that, thank you all for joining us for episode 115 of Word Ninjas Live. By all means, come back next Wednesday where we get to talk about more Nano, because we'll be 4 days in, and I'm sure that is going to be distracting us for a good while. Not to mention that, what is next week's topic so that we can kind of tease that out? I should have brought that up earlier, but now I am slowly trying to stall for time while I bring that up. Next week's topic is: why is Joseph Campbell's hero's journey such a prevalent story archetype? And what are your favorite hero's journeys? So we'll be going into the concept of the hero's journey and the hero of 1,000 faces and all that good stuff of just what is the hero's journey? What are some examples of the hero's journey? Spoilers, Star Wars, I'm sure, is going to come up because that is one of the prime examples of the hero's journey. And examples of other hero's journeys and how we go about it and all that good stuff. So tune in next week for that. Until then, go be productive. Go check out NaNoWriMo.org and go have fun. We'll see you all next week.